In Scrum development process, the responsibility of initiating the change in a project lies with the product owner. The product owner will be the liaison between the stakeholders and the team. All changes would come from the product owner. In today's fast-changing environment, there is continuous pressure on changes in technology, market conditions, and business patterns. Hence, the changes are inevitable in all projects. So it's important for us to understand how Scrum acknowledges changes, and the primary principle of Scrum is that stakeholders, e.g. customers, users, and sponsors, do change their mind about what they need throughout a project, sometimes referred to as requirement churn. And also that it is very difficult for all stakeholders to define all the requirements during the start initiation of the project. One of the major reasons of Scrum projects being developed in iterations or sprints is to welcome change, and smaller iterations help the Scrum team incorporate customer feedback on the project's deliverable after each sprint. Thus, enable the customer to regularly interact with the Scrum team members, view the product increments as they are ready, and change requirements earlier on in the development cycle. As Scrum is practiced on the basis of embracing change and turning change into a competitive advantage, by following this, the Scrum embodies a key principle from the Agile Manifesto, that it is more important to focus on responding to change over following a plan. This enables the Scrum development process to be adaptive to changes, and this is a key advantage of the Scrum framework. Although the Scrum works well for all projects, it can be very effective when the product or other project requirements are not fully understood or cannot be well defined up front, when the product's market is volatile, and/or when the focus is on making the team flexible enough to incorporate changing requirements. Scrum is especially useful for complex projects with a lot of uncertainty. Long-term planning and forecasting is typically ineffective for such projects, and they involve high quantities of risk. Thus, Scrum guides the team through transparency, inspection, and adaptation to the most valuable business outcomes. Requests for changes are usually submitted as change requests. All change requests remain unapproved until they are formally approved by the product owner. The Scrum Guidance Body usually defines a process for approving and managing changes, and in the absence of a formal process. In most projects, 90% of change requests could be classified as small changes that should be approved by the product owner. Changes that are beyond the tolerance level of the product owner may need approval from relevant stakeholders working with the product owner. At times, if a requested change could have a substantial impact on the project or organization, approval from senior management, for example, executive sponsor, portfolio product owner, program product owner, or chief product owner, may be required. All unapproved changes are discussed and approved while develop epics or while creating prioritized product backlog or while grooming prioritized product backlog processes. Once the change requests are approved, then they are prioritized and incorporated in the prioritized product backlog with other product requirements and their user stories. And this wraps up our introduction to change. I look forward to seeing you in the next session, in which we will study what the SBOC guide says about change in Scrum. Until then, thank you for learning with us.